going on there, YouTube? So, out here messing around, and started messing with my shocks. In the last video, we talked about that probably being the next step. My suspension was all the way bottomed out, and it's just, you know, it's sitting on the transmission because it hangs down a little bit below the frame. And I've been doing some shopping around. I found some springs for the Sand Scorcher since we're having kind of the same issue with its rear shocks. I haven't tried them out yet. So I got creative and I started going through all the pins I have in my living room. So I've already done one thing to the back here. So these are RC 4-wheel drive's ultimate scale shocks. These are just what comes on your Trail Finder 2. I think these are 80 millimeter. I have a set here I think are 90 or 100. I think those are 100 millimeter. And I pulled the springs out of these and put them in there. So it still compresses in a good range of motion, and it helped a little bit, but it still wasn't enough. So luckily I had a pack of pins. These are click. These are cheap dollar store pins, and it has like a dual spring rate type spring, and it fits perfectly around the shaft of the shock and gives us the extra oomph we need. And it doesn't, that's fully compressed, and it's still going to give us full range of motion. It's not going to limit the upward travel of it. So it might just work. I've got to do the other side here. I already have the longer spring inside, so I've got to take the lower arm off and put the little spring on the shaft. If you notice there, I've got a scale losses plate. Got that from my new friends at SRDLV Custom RC Shop. They're out of Las Vegas. SRD. I'll have a link in the video description. I think they sell plates or set for like $14 a set shipped, and they can make anything you want. I had them make these 58 Texas plates, 'cause I have 58 plates on my 58 Chevy. But I just like the look of these. They're black with white letters, kind of simple and clean, and you know, farm truck, because this is kind of a farm truck rat rod. So I've got the other one there. It's on the, I just used two-sided tape to mount it to my 4-link truss, and looks pretty good. It looks really good with the body and everything. I'll show you here once we get it all back together. I haven't decided where I'm going to put the front one yet. We'll look at that once we get around there. But yeah, check those guys out. They make all kinds of cool stuff. They can do custom vinyl graphics too. So if you're wanting some custom Toyota stripes for your Hilux and things like that, they can do stuff like that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back one apart here. I'll do it in fast forward so you can see what a pain in the butt it is. Alright, so it's pretty stiff, but we've got rebound. It's working. I'm happy. That's actually perfect. And it still will give us our flex. Let me turn it around here. Much stiffer, but exactly what we needed. There you can see that plate. It looks good off to the side like that. I'm glad I did it over there. Lots of bounce back, so that's good. We've got, half an inch of travel before the transmission bottoms out. I'm probably going to end up grinding off that bolt on the bottom of the RC 4-wheel drive transmission, because I think it's just going to hang down too far. Let me know what y'all think. I don't mind seeing the spring there. I thought about putting it inside, but then it's going to droop because that spring's it wouldn't fill up the whole body. So I don't know. I think it works where it is. I don't think I'm going to mess with it, because that's good for a couple jumps right there. So yeah, I like that. So now I've got to figure out, I don't want the front to be all the way extended because I don't want the body that high off the ground. It will make it more fun to drive in the dirt, but you know, this isn't going to get bashed a whole lot anyway, so I don't know. Let me flip it around and we'll start looking at those shots. Alright, so looking at the front here, it's all bottomed out. That's really all you're getting out of it. These are not RC 4-wheel drive shocks. These are, to me, a grand hauler, and they have a different end. They don't have an adjustable end, so you've got to use some kind of metal shim. I don't know that one. Oh, it's loose. I'm gonna have to take it off anyway. Then they have a plastic rod end for the bottom, which I've swapped out on these to RC 4-wheel drive ball ends, which have a lot more range of motion. It's almost like a Heim joint. So I think, looking at all the way up with the weight, I think we can get away with those springs on there. I'm going to try those first before I mess with what's inside, because I don't have anything really that short. The springs I took out of the rear shocks might fit in there, but I'm not sure they're any stiffer than the stock King Hauler springs. They feel pretty soft, but they might even be a different diameter. Yeah, these have just regular, like, pin springs in them. So I might check that, see if the RC 4-wheel drive spring will fit in there. I've got grease all over my desk. So it's all just trial and error. I'm just trying to get this thing up. I knew it was going to sag. It set perfect with the when I just had the suspension on, the frame and the cab. But now we've got the transmission and the motor, these headlights, all this extra doodads and whatnot. So yeah, it's a lot of weight. So start looking at that. Alright guys, so I was able to get the original springs out of the rear shocks into the Tamiya shocks on the front, and I think it's going to work. It's a little springy, but I mean, obviously it's springs, but it's got the ride height pretty level, and it's giving us our movement we need. So yeah, I think I'm going to roll with that for now. I've still got plenty of those pins, so if I need to add more, the shafts on these Grand Hauler shocks are not as long, so I might have to take one of those springs and cut it in half and try that. It might stiffen it up too much though, I'm afraid. So I don't know. Well, that's something we'll have to figure out once we start driving it. But as far as carrying the weight, it's doing pretty good. Like I said, it's not all the way up, but it's not all the way down. These shocks kind of stick. I don't know. The springs fit in there perfectly, but they feel a little like they're hanging up. So we may have to swap that out. But for now, I'm gonna roll with it. Looking at where I'm gonna put my front plate, I don't have a clue where to put the front plate on this thing. It would look cool on the axle, but I don't know how I'm gonna attach it to that axle yet. Can't really put it up there. I could put it down the front. I don't know yet. But I was just talking to the guys over at SRDLV, and we're going to do a promo code for 10% off plates, and they do little brass knuckles. And the promo code is going to be RC every day. So the link's in the video description. If you want to get some custom plates made, give them a shout, and put in the promo code RC every day. 10% off. I think they're $15 regular price, so you do the math. You know, just trying to help them out. It's a small hobby shop out in Vegas, and you know, they're doing lots of scale stuff. They've got crawler courses and everything, and doing scale plates. And I'm trying to help my viewers out, get y'all a discount on some scale plates, so everybody wins. So yeah, let me do some more brainstorming on this before I wrap this video up. Alright guys, so I mounted the plate down at the bottom. Front plates aren't that important. Down here in Texas, they act like it's a mortal sin if you don't have one. Just a reason to stop and give you a once over, but put it up there so you can see it from the bottom when the suspension's compressed and it's kind of hidden during normal ride height. Thought about trying to do something cool like bending it or hanging it with chain, but I didn't have any chains quite small enough to look right, and I didn't really have anywhere to hang it, short of hanging it off the front axle. But it's just, yeah. Maybe if I run across some really small scale chain that I can fix, not like, I don't know, something like maybe a jewelry chain or something, I could put a screw in each of these holes and have it hanging off the front axle. That might be kind of cool. But I don't know, for now it's stuck down there with two-sided tape. Hopefully it doesn't come off. It's metal on metal, so looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the shock setup right now. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see how it goes once we start running this thing around. I'm still not happy with my front tire situation. My 3D printed things inside are just not really holding. I mean, they're just too loose. So I still don't know what we're gonna do about that. I'm gonna have to do some ball bearing shopping. See if I can't find excuse me, the right size to fit over the shaft, but slightly larger diameter to fill that up. Because it's supposed to be like your standard size, like everything Tamiya has standard size, but it's not. So I don't know. I've also got to figure out, because using those, the nuts aren't getting into the nylon, so this side just spins itself free rolling forward. So I've got to find a different lock nut for that as well. But you know, it's all part of the fun for me. It's just making it up as you go. You've got all these little obstacles you got to overcome. It's just because it's not, you know, right out of the box. It's something completely custom and handmade. So there is no instruction manual. There is no online replacement parts. You got to make stuff work and figure out what you can do. So I got to order a headlight. Glad I just saw that and remembered. I'm thinking about a radiator now. Now that we've got the servo situated, that grill is very open on the inside. You can kind of see in there from the back side. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to try to do something 3D printed, or I'm going to just throw a block of styrene in there. I am planning on doing radiator hoses. These flatheads have one on each head right here in the center, and they'll just come up and go straight into the radiator, probably at a slight angle. And so I need something inside the grill shell to attach it to. I haven't started painting the new grill yet. I'm waiting to see how this radiator idea comes out. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I'd like to do the 3/16 steel brake line, but I think it may be a little big. These are a little bit smaller ports. I think I've got some over here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to attach to the engine just yet. Uh-oh, my suspension already worn out. No, we're good. Thought it was already bottomed out. So that's what I'm thinking on that, and then I think pretty much I'll be done with the engine. I've got my belt on it. I think one other thing, I think this is our fuel line here. It feeds all three Stromberg carburetors. You even see that? Yeah. And it kind of dead ends right here, so we might have to bend this up a little fuel line and run it down to the firewall or something, just to give it a little more detail. But we're getting down to the nitty gritty, all these little odds and ends. I still got to mount the body. That's the next big obstacle. I was looking at that before I did the suspension, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to make some kind of floorboards, at least for the sides. I'd like to leave the transmission exposed, but I'm going to have a floorboard here. And I'm trying to figure out how to tie that into the body mount so it all comes off together. Also, I'm thinking where am I going to put electronics? This body does have a dash with a few gauges and a steering wheel mount. And I've got a steering wheel here picked out. It's off the axial tree. It's a chain steering wheel. I haven't painted it or anything yet, but I've cut it up so it fits over the post inside the body. And I figure I'm just going to do it metal, make it look like chrome chain or something. And we'll just glue that on the inside. I will put a window in the front and the rear. That's going to be it for glass. And then we start looking at electronics. My main idea, I don't know what I'm going to use yet. I need a small ESC. I'm thinking I can get away with putting the receiver or something here on the firewall. Yeah, wish they made a tiny little ESC I could put up in here as well, so then I could throw some seats in it still and get away with still having an interior. Because that's kind of always been the compromise with these. Either you have the scale engine compartment or the scale interior. You can't really do both because there's just so limited on space. But we've got the engine compartment done with the electric motor in it, so we don't have to utilize interior space for anything but electronics. So it's I'm pushing the boundaries that I'm used to here a little bit, trying to come up with some new ideas and solutions. Battery, I'm got a feeling I'm gonna have to finally venture into lipos. I think that's part of the problem there with the number 2. I put the 5,000 milliamp stick pack in there, which fit surprisingly, and I wedged it. It looked like I designed it for it. It fit in there so snug, but still, it didn't have the get up and go it needed. But like I said on that one, I think it's going to be a transmission replacement on that build. It's just not. It's geared too low. But anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling on. You guys go check out SRDLV.com, and if you want to order some plates, do promo code RC Everyday, save 10%. I like my plates. I'm gonna get some more from them here pretty soon. I got to figure out what all I want. I just thought of these for this build. It'll be the farm truck. And, yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to get for number 2. I guess, I don't know. I'll have to look up some, it's neat about ordering plates because you just look online. You can look on eBay, look at vintage plates and, you know, whatever state, whatever year, and pick a style. And I just sent him a picture. I sent him a picture of a 58 plate. Said, I want, say, farm truck. And boom, there it is. So, yeah, check them out. Save 10%. And check out the rest of their site. They've got some, they sell bodies and wheels and lots of other stuff too. So, yep. Appreciate you guys watching and bearing through me whittling away at this thing. And I'll see y'all in the next video.